Some years ago, a client came in convinced that he should convert all of his IRA to a Roth IRA before he reached age 73. But when we sat down and we looked at his entire picture and we ran the numbers, the plan told a different story. Now in this video, I want to talk about who should convert to a Roth IRA and who shouldn't convert to a Roth IRA. And you probably clicked on this video because you've heard that Roth IRA conversions are a very smart tax move to make at the beginning of retirement. And you're wondering, is that really true for you? Would it be a smart tax move for you to do Roth conversions, or would it work against you? So in this video, I want to cover three things. One is, who should do Roth conversions? Number two, who shouldn't do Roth conversions? And number three, how can you tell which camp you fall into? If you'll stick with me to the end, you're going to know which camp you fall into and whether you should or shouldn't consider Roth conversions. Now let's go back to the client that I mentioned, and let's call him Jack. When Jack came in, he had $2.5 million in his IRA. And like I said, he was convinced he needed to move all $2.5 million into a Roth IRA before he hit age 73. And that's a good instinct because it is a good thing for some people to do. But Jack hadn't considered all sides of the equation. Now, the first thing I look at is, do you have room to do Roth conversions in a lower tax bracket? So we look at which tax bracket are you currently in, how much room do you have to get to the top of that tax bracket, how much room do you have to get to the top of the 24% tax bracket. And if there is room to do Roth conversions, it could make sense to do those and get some money out of your IRA and into the Roth IRA at a lower tax rate when you know what cost you're paying. You know the tax cost today. We don't know what the tax cost will be when you're in your 70s or 80s or 90s. And so that allows you to lock that in now at a lower tax rate. That's a good reason to do it, Roth conversion. The second thing I look at is, what will those future required minimum distributions become? Are they going to get to be so large that they push you into a very high tax bracket and a very high IRMAA bracket? If so, it can make sense to go ahead and settle up on some of the tax costs today, get it shifted into the Roth IRA so that they don't contribute to higher RMDs in the future. You actually are pulling down what that future required minimum distribution is going to be. And the third thing that I look at is, what do you want to leave to your heirs? If you're planning to leave the IRA to your heirs, they're going to inherit it as an inherited IRA, and they're going to have to pay ordinary income tax on all of the dollars to get it out. That could be very costly for them. Whereas if you shift it into a Roth IRA, you go ahead and pay that tax cost now, they get to pull that out tax-free. They even get another 10 years of tax-free growth after you've passed away. That could be a very thoughtful thing to do for your heirs and could be one of the biggest reasons that you want to do Roth conversions. But that is only one part of the picture. So when Jack and I looked at the other side of the picture, there were things that would actually work against him. One of the things that I look at is, how does a Roth conversion now impact your current tax bracket and your current IRMAA bracket? And at the amount of Roth conversions that Jack was contemplating, it was going to push him into a much higher tax bracket as well as one of the highest IRMAA brackets. And that didn't make sense at that level. That meant that Jack needed to dial back, even if he wanted to still do Roth conversions, dial that back somewhat. The next thing that I look at is, again, the future required minimum distributions. How big are they? If they're not too big, might not be a reason to do a Roth conversion. And if they line up with the amount of money that you're going to be spending in the future and they cover that cash flow nicely, it might make sense to just do nothing and pay the taxes later at the point in time that you are accessing the money to spend it. Beyond that, I think about charitable giving. And for Jack, this was very important. Jack and his wife give a lot charitably, and they want to continue giving over their retirement years. Well, in that case, it really doesn't make sense to take money out of the IRA, put it into the tax-free Roth IRA, and then give it to the charity. There's taxes that don't need to be spent in that process, because what Jack can do is give the money from the IRA directly to the charity. He doesn't pay tax on that, and the charity doesn't pay tax on that. That's called a qualified charitable distribution, and it becomes available to Jack once he reaches 71 and a half. So that is a really good reason to leave the money in the IRA. It works against him to do the Roth conversion because he pays taxes that he wouldn't have to pay. And then the last thing that we talked about was what Jack and his wife want to do right now. They're wanting to maximize their travel, their time with grandkids, some gifting to kids now while they can see their kids use it, and shifting the money from his IRA to a Roth IRA where it needed to be locked up for a period of time in order to have some real benefit to them of doing the Roth conversion meant that it was getting in the way of doing the things that they really want to do right now. What makes more sense for Jack and his wife is to take some distributions from the IRA, use those distributions to do the things they want to do. That draws down the IRA, makes those future RMDs lower, but it also funds the lifestyle that they really want to live, that they've been waiting to live, the travel, the time with grandkids, the time with kids, the gifts that they want to give, all of the things that they want to do right now. And so in Jack and his wife's case, it made a lot more sense not to do big Roth IRA conversions and use his IRA to actually fund the retirement that they want to live. Now, thinking through this, comparing Jack's situation to both the reasons to do Roth conversions and the reasons to not do Roth conversions, I think you can see that it's not a situation of it's good versus it's bad. It comes down to what are your priorities? What do you want to do in your retirement, and what do you want to do with these dollars? Do you want to spend it on your lifestyle? Do you want to leave it to heirs? Do you want to give it to charities? Whatever your priorities are, that's what's going to determine how much, if at all, a Roth conversion fits your situation. Now, if you're still not quite sure, the best thing that you can do is talk with a qualified financial advisor that can help you work through the priorities, because sometimes it can be difficult to decide which do you want to do more than another, and what's the best combination. And if you're wondering how I work with my clients, I invite you to head over to www.bestpathadvisors.com. And while you're there, you can see the work that I do, who it fits, and even schedule a time for us to talk. And if you like this video, hit that like button so that I know to produce more like it. And be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos that could help you be on your best path in your retirement. Because that is what I want for you and your family, that you would be on your best path in your retirement.